Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Ashley, we good? Volume and sound? Okay, all right. Welcome, everyone. Those in attendance, those are online. Special meeting tonight at 6. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
Since we don't have invitation almost out, maybe.
I'm getting ready. Our community is saddened by the loss of our former Commissioner, Jerry Legg. As you can tell, there's a picture of him and some flowers that was provided by Debbie Jones earlier to honor Jerry's long history as a public servant, a community servant in our community. I'm going to read the press release into the record. The town of Hope Mills mourns the loss of former Commissioner Jerry Legg. The town of Hope Mills is deeply saddened to announce the passing of former town commissioner and lifelong community champion Jerry Legg, who passed away yesterday, August 23rd, 2026, at the age of 82. Jerry would have been 83 in September. A retired builder by trade, Commissioner Legg dedicated over 3 decades of his life to public service, youth sports, and the civil development of Hope Mills. First elected to the Hope Mills Board of Commissioners in November 2003, Commissioner Legg served his constituents with distinction, leveraging his professional background and deep community roots to shape the town's growth. Beyond his elected office, Commissioner Legg was a foundational pillar of local civil boards and committees. His extensive public service included vital roles on the Hope Mills Planning Board, the Zoning Board of Adjustments, the Finance Committee, and the Air Quality Control Committee. Commissioner Legg's most enduring legacy, however, lives on through the generations of the youth he mentored. He began coaching baseball in Hope Mills in 1988 with his youngest daughter, when his youngest daughter wished to play, spanning a 24-year tenure as head coach. Simultaneously, he served on the board of directors for the Hope Mills Youth Association for over 30 years, holding leadership positions as buildings and grounds chairman, vice president, and president. Even after retiring from the dugout, he continued to serve the Youth League as an umpire for several years. In 2009, Commissioner Legg's profound impact on youth sports earned him induction into the prestigious Diamond Youth Baseball Danny Jones Club. Membership in this exclusive club requires rigorous state and national board ratification, reserved strictly for individuals who embody outstanding leadership, honor, devotion, faith, and service. In late 2025, he was a recipient of the Longleaf Pine Award. This award is one of the highest honors of the governor's office. Commissioner Jerry Legg is survived by his beloved wife, Diana, and their 3 daughters. Funeral arrangements will be held on Friday, August 28th at 1 p.m. I do believe that there's visitation on Thursday from 6 to 8, and both will be at Reeves Funeral Home. I will ask everyone for a moment of silence to honor and remember Commissioner Jerry Legg and his family. Jerry was more than just a coach and more than just a board member. Jerry Legg was a friend to everybody that lived in Hope Mills. He was approachable. He enjoyed his conversations. And I can definitely attest, and so could Commissioner Marley, who served with him all these years. That he cared deeply about the betterment of our community. That was his motivation for serving this community, was for the betterment, not only in government, but also in youth sports. He will be missed by so many in our community, but his legacy will forever live with everything that he has contributed to Hope Mills. I just wanted to say that. Is there any comments from the board before we move on? Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. So December, when we were sworn in, my husband told me that Commissioner Legg wanted to talk to me. So I was still walking around the room saying hello to everybody, and he came up to me again and he said, Commissioner Legg wants to talk to you. And I said, well, surely he's not waiting outside because he had to go home. So I went outside, and he was actually waiting to speak to me. He was sitting in the car, and he said to me that to be myself, continue to be myself, do not let anything change me, and he looks forward to seeing great things with me. And I said, I do hope that I can continue to make you proud and seeing the great things that the board will do. And that was touching for me because he actually waited and took the time out before leaving, and his wife said, he wants to talk to you. And it kind of threw me off a little bit, but I appreciate his message and what he saw in me to be able to take the time to set aside to say that to me.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
Just want to pass my condolences on to the family, and then my thoughts and prayers, and truly know that Jerry left his mark on this community and that he was truly a community servant. We can truly say that Jerry gave his all to this community and to this town. Thank you.
Anyone else? Item number 1, approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor? Seeing none opposed, agenda is approved. Item number 2, consideration and approval of FY 2026-2027 insurance renewal and budget amendment number 8 in the amount of $26,516 for property, liability, and workers' compensation insurance. All those documents are located under tab 1, and our finance director is coming forward to update us on what tab 1 is. Thank you, Brittany.
No problem. I tried to include everything in the packet. So if the board has any questions, I'm here to answer them. But basically, this is an additional budget approval to cover the town's workers' comp and property and liability insurance. What was in the current budget was a little short, so the budget amendment is asking for that additional $26,000 to help cover the shortfall. So that's what that budget revision outlines for you today.
Any questions from the board? Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. Thank you. So where it says that it was due on July 31st, 2026, is that for the previous year, or is that for the upcoming year?
This is for the upcoming year.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, do we have an action? Wait a minute.
I'm sorry, one more. And I'm sorry, my bad. And so is that how it will always be the previous, so the current year is due the year of?
So this is covering us just like any other insurance renewal, like for the year that we're in now. So this is covering us for 26, 27.
And is that price going to stay the same, or is this a shop around price now?
This price that you have the invoices for now will cover us for the whole year. Now, I can't guarantee that when we do 27, 28, what the price would be then. Maintaining everything the same, we would think that we would get something around the same rate, but we did see that increase this year.
I have a question, Mayor.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Mr. Clark, so I don't know if I'm confused or what, but it says the first one, the date of the invoice is 7/1/2026. The due date is 7/21/2026 for a total of $162,579.70. Is that for next year?
No, that's this year.
And has that been paid?
No, it hasn't. That's why we're here tonight.
Okay. But the budget amendment's for $26,000.
Yes, so in that packet, there's two quotes. There's one two invoices. There's one for workers' comp, and then there's one for property and liability insurance.
Okay.
So that total, you see the workers' comp was 162.
579.
And then the property and liability was the 331,305.09. That was also included in the packet.
Okay, and that one was due 7/24. So when will those be paid?
So we'll pay them as soon as we get this budget amendment done today. We can pay them in the morning. So we've been communicating with the league, so they understand that sometimes things take a process. So we'll pay them as soon as we get that budget authority to pay for the full amount.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, do we have an action?
Motion to approve FY 26-27 insurance renewal and budget amendment.
Pardon me, Commissioner, can you use your mic, please?
I thought it was on. I stand corrected. Motion to approve FY 26-28 insurance renewal and budget amendment number 8 in the amount of $26,516 for property, liability, and workman's compensation insurance.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Seriously.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Is there any further discussion before I call for the vote? Seeing none, all in favor? 1, 2. Okay, everybody. All right. Seeing none opposed, budget amendment passes. Thank you, Brittany. Brittany, you might as well hang up there because we're coming back to you. Item number 3, discussion point tonight. The item A, vacant town positions. We discussed those probably at length during our last meeting, which was a week ago. I would like to include any further discussion about vacant town positions in item B, Town Finance Report and Outlook Presentation by our Finance Director. Is the board okay with that?
Absolutely.
Everybody good with this? All right. Therefore, Brittany, come forward for your presentation.
All right, so we're gonna get started. This is just, this is an update from last Monday for the state of our town's finances. So we're gonna cover, the cash flow from now until December. So the purpose of this update, is to keep the board continuously updated on the state of the town's cash position. So we know that we have an approved balanced budget, but that's not what we're here tonight. We're not here to talk about the annual budget. We're here to talk about, the cash that we have currently across our investment portfolio for the town. So we're gonna identify any liquidity gaps, which means, are we falling short in any areas when it comes to the town actually paying for those things that we've budgeted for? So this is where we stand currently, the current cash position of the town, which means how much cash the town has in the bank. So this balance is working capital, so it's not excess and it's not something that we just use discretionary. This 3.47 million is used strictly for the operations of the town. This is to support our payroll, any of our vendor payments, which we call accounts payable, any of our contractual obligations, so any contracts we've entered in to pay this fiscal year, and covering any essential services or emergency needs would all be lumped into this $3.7 million. As of now, the town doesn't receive its largest revenue distribution, which is property taxes. We're not expected to receive that until sometime in December. So this is what we must fund before December. We have a payroll that we pay biweekly to our town employees. We have accounts payable, which averages out about $450,000 a month. And then we have other known obligations, such as our debt payments, any of our lease obligations, anything in addition to payroll and accounts payable. So the projected cash outflow is that 6.18 million. And these are all still just estimates. Some things, of course, we know they're steady, they remain the same. We know average what payroll is gonna be. Typically for accounts payable, we don't know what it is, but we know that we have contracts in place. So these are just the average numbers of what we're looking at paying from now until December. So this slide covers how are we gonna get from August 2026 at least until November 2026. So we know we have payroll and routine accounts payable, which are largely reoccurring expenditures. So at this point, I'm identifying things that we know are gonna be constant and things that we know for sure should be averaged about the same every single month up until December. So accounts payable is assumed to be relatively stable at approximately $450,000 per month. Holding any vacancies will help. And that's just where we are as of now to keep the stability of the numbers, to keep that cash flow model. Vacancy savings alone probably won't close that gap that we need to get us until December, but it will help it not get larger. So we've already seen some aggressive reductions to our town expenditures. We have departments where they can, cutting back in multiple ways. We have departments sharing cars. We've also collected all of the town's credit cards. So any credit card purchase that's needed through the town, it has to come through me. And that's just to ensure that it's something that we need immediately and not just something that we want for right now, because we're focused on right now just sustaining day-to-day operations and trying to hold off any other expenditure. Not saying it's not necessary, but if it's not an immediate need, we would prefer for the departments to hold off and purchase those in January. We aren't doing any of our capital projects moving forward. We did ask for department heads to hold any capital projects and capital purchases through December. Through the budget, we did reduce all travel and training to, if they're only related to some type of certification that serves the town. So there's no miscellaneous conferences, trainings. We're trying to cut back on the mileage and the cost to send employees to those trainings. So unless it's a training that directly reflects to some type of certification that you have with the town, we've asked for staff to delay those, or if they choose to attend, it will be an out-of-pocket expense. We're also not covering items such as uniform purchases unless it's something like an immediate need that the town needs. And then anything that's safety gear or stuff like that, we're still moving those things forward, but we're not just replacing things just to do it. This is a way just to preserve the cash that the town has currently. So these are my finance recommendations. When we went through the OSA audit, we were asked to create a cash replenishing plan. So I'm asking that we also do that just for the town's day-to-day operation. So between the board and the town manager and I feel like we need to have a cash preservation objective, which means the town will not go below a certain balance when it comes to cash. And if it does, these are the steps that we need to take to make sure it doesn't happen again. And this is in addition to our already adopted fund balance policy. So this is just adding an additional measure to that. I still am asking that we continue to hold vacancies that are not necessary for immediate emergency response or essential service delivery. We are still directing department heads to identify expenditures that can be eliminated or deferred until after December. Finance has to review every new purchase, any new contracts and or commitments to make sure they're following the right workflow. And not only that, to make sure that we're not obligating the town to pay something that we haven't initially budgeted for. And it's just to keep us in line so I can dollar for dollar see what's coming in and going out of the town. I already cover about establishing the minimum operating cash threshold. And then I am continuing on to update the board and our town manager with frequent cash updates. And I'm asking for some type of contingency strategy that the town implements. So hopefully we don't see these type of cash flow situations again. So I'm hoping this would eliminate this last year of stretching until December until we get tax revenues. So I think that's my last slide. And if the board has any questions, I'm here to entertain, unless we want to pivot to, are we going to go to the vacant positions now, or are we going to hold off on that?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up our HR director, Ms. Leanne, to help cover what we were looking at in regards to the vacant positions.
Hello. So for current vacancies in our admin department, we have one part-time receptionist that's been vacant since July. We have 3 firefighters. In police, we have 1 captain and 1 task force officer. In Parks and Rec, we have 1 maintenance position, 1 part-time custodian, and 3 part-time rec leaders. In the Parks and Rec department, we've also not filled a recently vacated lake attendant position, and we're not going to fill that. The season's almost over, so we're just going to ride that one out. The recommendations are to hold as many of these as vacant as possible, preferably to the beginning of January, in order to give us some savings in cash and benefits to, I mean, you just have Brittany's presentation. I don't think I need to tell you. The only position right now that we're looking to fill before January would be the maintenance position, and that wouldn't be until after the lake attendant season falls off, so those 3 salaries would end up a wash, so it wouldn't increase any budget.
Thank you, Leanne.
So that's just one of the recommendations. And like I said, we're not eliminating positions. We're not even, it's not even a freeze on the position. I would use that word lightly. We're just asking for them to be held until January 1st, until we get into the new year past December. Today, Leanne and Chancellor and I did meet with all of our department heads that had vacancies. So we were able to talk it over with the department heads first and see how that would suffice with them and then the needs of their departments. So my closing remarks is we have to not simply find a way to just make it to December. So I don't want to make it seem like that's what I'm proposing. I hate that we're in this position, so we need to determine, one, I feel like what got us here so we can avoid it, but I don't want to say, let's make it to December. I think the town, well, for majority of towns and municipalities, everybody gets their property taxes at the same time. So waiting until December is not necessarily issue. We have to figure out why we have that need and that restriction on cash flow for this time and then see what we can do to change that. So as we enter into the new budget year and planning out how we want to adopt our budget and the things we want to include, we have to make sure that we understand what financial pressures it puts on the town when it's time for those obligations that we've adopted in the budget to come due, and the town actually has to pay on those. So as we move forward, and then I look forward to working with my first budget with the board so we can probably find ways to avoid some of these pitfalls so we won't be here again next year.
Thank you, Brittany. As I said last Monday night, we are continuing to not only navigate this current fiscal year budget, we are now putting in place a roadmap to engage FY '27-28 budget. So we're looking at two things that we're doing. This one, the current one we're in, and we're just barely in it a couple months. But the decisions that we're making now and in the coming months will not only impact this current budget where we are, but it will significantly impact next year's operating budget. And I just wanted the board and the public to be mindful. That's kind of where we are as far as the decision points. Is there any questions from the board before we move on to our next item on the agenda?
I don't necessarily have a question, but I do have a statement. I've just been thinking about this for years. In Hope Mills, they say, how did we get here? We have been on we have had a champagne taste on a beer budget. We're only 18,000 strong, but for some reason, we love to say, well, Fayetteville is making this. County is paying this. You're looking at, what, 600,000? That's a whole lot of dollars. You're looking at 200,000? That's a whole lot of money. Compared to 18,000, we cannot continue to survive because for years, we've been walking around the Hope Mills with a bucket. It had a hole in the bottom, and it finally leaked out now. And now we have to fix this, and we fix it by making sure we live within our means. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Mitchell. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Commissioner Hamilton?
I don't know how the county works with the property taxes, so do they collect it all and then wait until December to reimburse us, or do they reimburse us as we go?
No, so the first disbursement comes out into December, but if you notice, like I already got my tax bill. They've already sent out tax bills to start collections around September. So through September, October, November, they'll pay us out in December, and then from January, February, and March, they split the disbursements versus paying you in the month that it was collected.
And one more question. After this is, say, January or February, are they going to carefully scrutinize all budget amendments? Because I just don't want to see 100 budget amendments coming at us that they've been saving up from between now and December, then put us right back in the same position we were before.
Well, thankfully, the budget amendments that have been approved thus far have, from the ones I recall, you guys approved them, but the ones I remember presenting to you for the most part have been for emergency needs, things that we didn't budget for. So like the AC, HVAC repairs, The police, they come with their own funding source through asset forfeiture, and then the same thing with stormwater. So far, the only budget amendment that I've seen, that, actually, could have been a little bit different, probably was the one we got tonight for the workers' comp and the other insurance.
Yeah, I understand emergencies and other things happen. I mean, it just happens. But I'm talking about things that they normally do during the year that I've seen. I'm just hoping that they're not saving them all up for us and then hit us the first of next year, then,
Well, we'll definitely
again.
keep an eye out for those.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, thank you. So if the bulk of the money from the collection of the property taxes come in December, is there a way to rework contracts and things of that nature so that we're not paying on this hand, hoping that we get the money on this hand to cover what's already done, placing people in a situation like that? So it's kind of like, I know I'm getting paid, but I've spent my money already, and I have to hope that I get the money to cover what I've already spent, which keeps me in a backlag. That's what it sounds like, what has been happening.
So the town, saw, if you notice through the July financials, we paid out a pretty large amount of money in July. And that was based on a lot of the contract renewals, and a lot of them hit July. So internally, that's something that we need to look at possibly, scaling down. What we did do in finance is, we know that July 1 kicks off a new budget year, but if the contract isn't renewing until September, we're not going to pay in July. We'll wait until September. So that did help with some of the things. And that's just understanding how things flow, just having a finance mind maybe versus like a project-driven mind, like a project manager. So some of those things, we can try to find a way to, even if it's just contacting the vendor and letting them know, like, hey, can we kind of change the terms until maybe October 1 to September 30, something like that.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Point of clarification, if I'm not mistaken, at the last meeting, Mr. Mayor, and I think Brittany already had made the statement that we was going to start scrutinizing contracts more closely, and I think you made the directive that you wanted them to start every contract, not some, but every one of them, right? All right.
All of them.
Okay.
I have another question on that one. And if these contracts are old and they expire, is it possible to bid on new contracts?
Yes, it is. It's possible to bid. We have a few that may be a sole source when it comes to some of our public safety departments and, some of those specialized services. But the ones that, that can be rebid, once those cycles are coming up, we are prepared to do that. Right now, we just have, we're waiting for them to roll off, if that makes sense. So they're within their renewal within 2 to 3 years. But those that we have that we can renew, we can go out to bid for those services.
Okay. Anything else? Let me add something to Commissioner Hamilton's question about property tax, and I think Mayor Pro Tem had the same thing. We collectively, as a board, signed a letter last Monday to send to Cumberland County Chairman Kirk Deviere and the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners and the County Manager Greer to see if they would help us in property tax distribution. Normally what happens every year is that they collect it every month and then it's held, and we're in a quarter of arrears. That's why we all get it at one time in December. What we're asking the county to do is to send it to us as they collect it over the next coming months to help us in the revenue stream. That's a special request. We haven't heard an official answer back, but we do know that if they can send it to us in increments as they collect it, that will greatly help us over these next coming months as an additional revenue source, because we're all going to get it at one time in December. But instead of getting it all at one time, we'd like to get a little bit of it as a time throughout the process. So I kind of wanted to update not only the board for that, but the public as well, is that we're taking proactive measures to look at expenditures and to look at revenue streams and sources to get us through this challenging period. So, there's no other questions. I've got one comment before we get to item number 4. Chief Dollinger, would you come up front, please, sir? Sir, I owe you an apology. I do. And it's because of Monday night and the way that I dismissed you. It was not out of disrespect at all. Not at all. The conversation had been going on and on and on, back and forth, about vacant positions. And I felt like that we were probably toward the end of that conversation, as there were a number of questions, discussions. So if you felt that maybe I disrespected you in any way, that is not true at all. Not at all. I just wanted to end the conversation at that point about the positions. So I just wanted to apologize directly to you that if I disrespected you and all, that was not my purpose, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Chief. Item number 4, Mayor Pro Tem.
Motion to conduct closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A3, attorney-client privilege, and NCGS 143-318.11A6 personnel.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Seeing none opposed, we'll be back as soon as we can. Thank you. Okay, folks, we're back from closed session. Mayor Pro Tem?
I move to seal the minutes of the closed session until such time as the release of the information would no longer frustrate the purpose of the closed session and further no action was taken.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Seeing none opposed? We need one slide up, Ashley.
I got you right here.
Yeah, that's it. Do I have a motion to approve the finance recommendations as presented?
Motion to
So
approve
moved.
the finance
Okay,
slide as directed.
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Seeing none opposed, the motion carries. The board will approve the finance recommendations as presented. Any staff comments? Again, the reminder, Thursday night is the viewing for former Commissioner Jerry Legg. And then on Friday, the funeral starts at 1 on Friday. And I would encourage, and Chancellor will direct this too, that any town employee that wants to attend that funeral will be allowed to do so on Friday, out of respect to former Commissioner Jerry Legg and his family. Have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
We are adjourned.